Emotions are powerful. They can lift you up, drive you forward, and fuel your passion. But they can also mislead you, trap you in old cycles, and make you act against your best interests. When someone from your past reaches out, especially if it's someone who once held a significant place in your heart, your emotions will surge. Maybe excitement, maybe hope, maybe fear, maybe anger. And if you don't take control of them, they will take control of you. Think about it. How many times have you let an emotion dictate your actions before your rational mind had a chance to step in? That quick response to a late night text. That moment of weakness where you allowed nostalgia to blur the past. That urge to immediately give in just because it felt good in the moment. But feelings are not facts. Emotions are temporary and they do not always reflect reality. When he reaches out, the first thing you must do is pause. That moment between receiving and reacting is where your power lies. Take a breath, step back, allow the initial wave of emotions to rise and then settle. This is crucial because in that moment, your mind is clouded. The brain operates in two ways, fast and slow thinking. Fast thinking is emotional, impulsive, and instinctual. It's the part of your brain that wants immediate validation, that craves familiarity, that wants to feel something, anything, right now. Slow thinking, on the other hand, is rational, strategic, and aligned with your long-term well-being. But it takes time to kick in. The problem is, most people never allow themselves that time. So when he reaches out, what do you feel first? Is it excitement? Does your heart race? Do you start wondering if this could be a second chance? If so, where is that coming from? Is it because you truly believe this person has changed, or is it because your heart is seeking comfort in the familiar? Nostalgia has a way of rewriting history, softening the edges of past pain and making us remember only the good. But if you pause long enough, you'll remember the full picture. Or maybe you feel anger. Maybe resentment boils up as you think about the times he let you down, the ways he hurt you, the unanswered questions, the moments you felt invisible. And in that rush of emotion, you want to retaliate. Maybe you want to ignore him to prove a point. Maybe you want to lash out, send a message that lets him know exactly how much he messed up. But if you react from that place, who really wins? Because the moment someone else's actions dictate your emotions, you give away your power. So how do you take control? First, name what you're feeling. Science shows that when you label an emotion, it loses its grip on you. Instead of saying, I feel overwhelmed, break it down. Is it excitement, anxiety, longing, regret? Identifying the true emotion gives you clarity. Second, ask yourself, is this emotion coming from a place of power or from a place of fear? If you're excited, is it because this person aligns with your vision for the future or because you're afraid of being alone? If you're angry, is it because you genuinely believe this person is still harmful to you or because their actions triggered an old wound that you haven't fully healed? The ability to separate real truth from emotional reaction is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Third, shift your focus from reaction to response. A reaction is immediate, emotional, and often regrettable. A response is thoughtful, intentional, and serves your highest self. You get to decide whether or not you engage. You get to decide how you engage. And that decision must come from a place of wisdom, not weakness. Your emotions are valid, but they are not always an accurate compass. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's right. Just because something feels bad doesn't mean it should be avoided. The key is emotional mastery, the ability to feel without letting those feelings dictate your actions. Because the moment you master your emotions, you master your life. Life has a way of repeating itself. If you look back at the significant relationships in your life, whether romantic, familial, or even friendships, you will often see recurring patterns. These patterns don't exist in isolation. They are a series of choices, behaviors, and responses that have led you to a place where you either feel stuck or empowered. So when someone from your past, especially someone with whom you've experienced emotional turbulence, reaches out, it's essential to ask, is this a pattern I want to repeat, or is this the moment where I break free and create something new? The truth is, we are creatures of habit. Our brains are wired to repeat patterns, both good and bad, because they provide a sense of familiarity. Even when a situation hasn't served us well, we often return to it because it feels safe. Safe doesn't mean good, though. Safe means known. And when you get too comfortable with what you know, even if it's toxic or limiting, the idea of something different, something unknown, can feel terrifying. But here's the thing, if you don't learn the lesson from your past, life will keep handing it to you until you do. The universe doesn't make mistakes. It brings you situations not as punishments, but as opportunities to evolve. The question is, will you recognize the pattern, or will you continue to react in the same way you always have? When he reaches out, it's not just about the message, the timing, or the intention behind it. It's about the larger pattern at play. Has he reached out before, only to fade away? Has this become a game of emotional highs and lows, where you experience fleeting moments of happiness followed by long periods of silence or confusion? If so, why is that happening? What does this cycle represent in your life? Is it a test of your self-worth, a challenge to see if you've grown, healed, or learned from past mistakes? To truly recognize a pattern, you need to step back and look at the bigger picture. Think about the last few interactions you've had with this person. What's the emotional rhythm? Do they contact you when they're feeling low, bored, or in need of validation? Do they show up when it's convenient for them, only to disappear when you need consistency or commitment? These are not isolated events. They are part of a much larger cycle that you've allowed to continue. Recognizing this isn't about placing blame on the other person, it's about understanding your role in the cycle. Every pattern has two participants, the one who initiates it and the one who allows it to continue. Take a moment to reflect on your choices in these situations. Have you allowed this person to come in and out of your life on their terms? Have you lowered your standards, made excuses for behavior that wasn't aligned with your values, or tolerated treatment you wouldn't accept from anyone else? The key to breaking any cycle lies in your willingness to be radically honest with yourself. But recognizing the pattern is only half the battle. The real challenge comes when you decide whether or not to break it. Breaking a cycle requires courage. Courage to stand in the face of discomfort and do what you know is right, even if it means letting go of something familiar. If you're used to having this person around, even in an unhealthy way, the idea of cutting ties or setting boundaries can feel daunting. However, the pain of staying in a cycle that no longer serves you is often greater than the temporary discomfort of making a change. When he reaches out, ask yourself, am I looking for something real, or am I just looking for the validation of an old pattern? If this is just another replay of past events, you already know how the story ends. The emotional highs followed by the inevitable crash. The brief moments of hope followed by the deepening sense of dissatisfaction. And in those moments, you're left questioning your own choices and worth. The truth is, when you are stuck in a pattern, you are not growing. Growth requires breaking through old habits, confronting your fears, and making decisions that may initially feel uncomfortable, but will ultimately lead you to a better, healthier version of yourself. So when he reaches out, choose growth over familiarity. And here's the real power in this choice. You control the pattern. You are not a passive participant in your life. You are the creator of your experiences. You decide how others treat you by the standards you set and the actions you take. If you don't want this person to continue playing the same game with your emotions, stop responding to the old script. Rewrite it. Demand more for yourself. Raise your standards, set boundaries, and take actions that align with your worth. Breaking patterns isn't about cutting people out of your life without reason. It's about redefining what is acceptable and non-negotiable for your emotional well-being. It's about stepping into the person you are meant to be, the person who no longer tolerates less than what they deserve. It's about demanding respect, love, and honesty, not settling for crumbs when you know you deserve the full feast. But be prepared. Breaking patterns may feel like resistance at first. Change always does. You might feel the pull to go back, to slip into old ways because they're comfortable, even if they're not healthy. But remind yourself that comfort is not the same as growth. Growth comes from the willingness to embrace discomfort, to move through the challenges, and to emerge stronger on the other side. When he reaches out, recognize the pattern, see it for what it is, and then decide. Do you want to remain in a cycle of repetition, or do you want to break free and build something new, something that truly reflects the person you are becoming? There's a powerful truth that we often forget. You are not an option. You are the prize. In every aspect of your life, your worth is non-negotiable. Yet, how many times have you felt like you weren't enough? How many moments have you doubted your value or allowed someone else to treat you as though you were disposable, temporary, or secondary? The moment he reaches out, it's crucial to remember your worth. You are not someone's fallback. You are not a convenience, nor should you ever be treated as one. What does it mean to step into your worth? It means understanding your value, not just on a surface level, but deep within your core. It means recognizing that you are deserving of love, respect, and everything that aligns with your highest self. It's easy to forget this when someone comes back into your life, especially someone who once held significant emotional weight. You may be tempted to think, maybe this time it's different, or maybe he really values me now. But here's the reality. How others treat you is a reflection of how you treat yourself. When he reaches out, the first thing to recognize is that this is not about him. It's not about proving your worth to him, seeking validation, or trying to earn affection. This moment is an opportunity to prove something to yourself, that you value yourself enough to not settle for anything less than what you deserve. Too often we confuse love with sacrifice. We sacrifice our boundaries, our standards, and our emotional peace in the hope that someone will see us for who we are and appreciate our value. But love is not about sacrifice in this way. True love, whether romantic or otherwise, is about mutual respect, admiration, and a shared sense of worth. So when he reaches out, the first step is to step into your worth by asking yourself, what do I truly deserve? What does a relationship with me look like when it's rooted in mutual respect, equality, and healthy boundaries? If you answer that question truthfully, your actions will follow. If you don't believe that you deserve to be treated with the utmost respect, kindness, and honesty, then you will unconsciously allow others to treat you in ways that undermine that worth. The key aspect of stepping into your worth is releasing the need for external validation. This is incredibly powerful because it's about shifting from seeking approval from others to seeking approval from within. The temptation to seek reassurance from someone who once mattered in your life is strong. You might think, if he wants me again, maybe I'm finally enough, or maybe I've finally proved my worth. But remember, you don't need anyone's validation to know your value. You were born worthy. Your worth isn't something that fluctuates based on other people's opinions of you. It is inherent, it is constant, and it's rooted in your humanity. The moment you step into this realization, you stop seeking validation from people who are not aligned with your value, and instead, you seek it from within yourself. It's also crucial to recognize that stepping into your worth means setting boundaries. People who respect you won't test your limits or challenge your boundaries. They will honor them. When you don't establish clear boundaries, when you let others come and go as they please, You send a message that your needs don't matter. You show that their comfort and convenience are more important than your emotional well-being. When he reaches out, ask yourself, what boundaries am I setting right now? Am I protecting my peace? Am I safeguarding my emotional health? Or am I willing to sacrifice my standards for a fleeting connection that may lead nowhere? Stepping into your worth also means being willing to let go of what doesn't serve you. Holding on to someone who isn't aligned with your values or who has repeatedly shown you that they can't or won't meet your needs is a reflection of a lack of self-worth. It's not about being harsh or punishing the other person. It's about choosing you. The more you hold on to people who are not meant for you, the more you block space for the ones who truly are. It's not selfish to protect your energy. It's an act of self-respect. Let's talk about the power of self-respect. When you respect yourself, you don't tolerate disrespect. You don't allow someone to walk all over your heart just to make them happy or to make yourself feel needed. Self-respect means standing firm in your values regardless of who shows up in your life and when. It's understanding that your time, energy, and emotional availability are valuable and not to be given away freely to anyone who doesn't appreciate them. When he reaches out, remind yourself of the worth you bring to the table. You bring your love, your care, your depth, and your commitment. These things are precious, and anyone who gets to experience them must prove that they're worthy of your energy. Another important part of stepping into your worth is self-love. Self-love isn't just about self-care routines or affirmations. It's about knowing deep down that you are enough without needing to prove it to anyone else. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are deserving of all the good things that life has to offer, whether or not anyone recognizes it. Self-love is what allows you to turn down unhealthy situations and make choices that honor your emotional well-being. When you love yourself, you stop chasing after people who are not aligned with your vision of a fulfilling relationship. So when he reaches out, ask yourself, am I treating myself like the prize I am? Am I setting boundaries that protect my peace? Am I choosing what's best for me, even if it means walking away from someone who doesn't fully appreciate my worth? The moment you step into your worth, your choices will change. You will no longer settle for less than you deserve, and you will no longer give your time or energy to situations that undermine your value. Stepping into your worth means stepping into a life that reflects the respect, love, and abundance you've always been worthy of. In a world where emotions run high and circumstances often cloud our judgment, clarity is power. When someone from your past reaches out, it's easy to get swept away in the tide of emotions, excited at the possibility of rekindling something, or anxious about opening an old chapter. But clarity is the key that allows you to cut through the noise and make decisions based on what you truly want, not based on emotional impulses or fleeting desires. In moments of uncertainty, when he reaches out, the question you need to ask yourself is, what do I want? Leading with clarity means knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. Without this inner vision, you will be like a ship adrift on the open sea, easily swayed by the winds of emotion, unsure of your direction, and vulnerable to being pulled back into old patterns that no longer serve you. This is not the place where you want to make decisions about your future. When you are unclear about what you want, you make choices based on fear, doubt, or the need for external validation. Clarity begins by defining your values. Ask yourself, what is most important to me right now? Is it building a relationship founded on trust and mutual respect? Is it healing from past wounds? Is it finding peace and stability in your life before you consider opening your heart to someone else? Your values are your compass. When you know what truly matters, it becomes much easier to navigate challenging situations, like the moment when he reaches out. When you lead with clarity, you don't need to seek external validation to feel worthy. Clarity comes from within. It's about knowing, without a doubt, that you deserve more than just the crumbs someone is offering. It's about asking yourself, does this person align with the life I want to create? If the answer is no, then clarity will give you the courage to step away even when the situation feels emotionally complicated. Too many people get lost in the idea of what could be, or the nostalgia of what once was, without being fully honest with themselves about what they truly need in the present moment. Leading with clarity also means knowing your standards. Standards are the non-negotiable elements in any relationship. Respect, honesty, communication, consistency. They are the foundation on which you build your interactions with others. Without them, you leave room for uncertainty, manipulation, or disappointment. When he reaches out, it's essential to ask yourself, do his actions match my standards? If they don't let the confusion of old emotions or a fleeting moment of vulnerability lead you to lower your standards. Your standards are a reflection of your self-respect and the boundaries you're willing to set. The lack of clarity often results in emotional decision-making. You might feel a sense of urgency, a need to answer quickly, or a desire to prove your worth by showing up when you're unsure about what you truly want. This emotional rush clouds your judgment and can leave you feeling unsatisfied, regretful, or caught in a cycle of miscommunication. When you make decisions in emotional turbulence, they tend to be reactive rather than proactive. You need to create a space where you can respond thoughtfully, not react impulsively. Part of leading with clarity is understanding that you cannot give what you do not have. If you're unclear about what you want or need, how can you communicate that to others? If you haven't defined your boundaries, how can you expect others to honor them? Clarity is the foundation of healthy relationships because it allows you to express your desires, needs, and expectations with confidence. It gives you the ability to assert your standards and walk away from situations that do not align with your vision for your life. When clarity is present, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop wasting time trying to decipher someone else's mixed signals or deciphering their intentions. You stop being confused about what you deserve. You no longer feel like you have to earn love, respect, or attention from anyone. Clarity eliminates the need for validation. You stand firm in your decisions because you know they are rooted in your values and your vision for the future. When you know what you want, your actions will reflect it. And when you act with confidence, others will respect you, your choices, and your boundaries. It's also essential to recognize that clarity in communication is key. Misunderstandings, assumptions, and mixed messages are often the result of unclear intentions and poor communication. When he reaches out, you can either respond from a place of confusion and emotional impulse, or you can respond with clarity, expressing your thoughts and feelings with openness and honesty. This doesn't mean being harsh or abrasive, but being direct about your needs and your expectations. When you communicate clearly, you create an environment where both parties understand each other's boundaries and desires, reducing the chance for misunderstandings. Clarity isn't about making decisions based on fear of what might happen if you don't act a certain way. It's about making decisions based on confidence in what you deserve. Fear often causes us to act from a place of scarcity, afraid that if we don't accept the moment as it is, we might lose something important. But clarity is rooted in abundance. It's the belief that you can make decisions that align with your best interests and that doing so will always bring you closer to what is meant for you. Clarity doesn't just help you make better decisions. It creates the space for opportunities that match your worth to show up. When he reaches out, you don't need to rush. You don't need to make snap decisions that you'll regret later. Take the time to check in with yourself, your values, your boundaries, your desires. Ask yourself, is this what I want? Is this person aligned with the future I'm creating? Lead with clarity and let it guide you through the confusion and uncertainty. The more you practice clarity, the more it will become a natural part of your decision-making process. When you lead with clarity, you no longer feel torn between past emotions and future aspirations. You become a person who walks with purpose, who knows exactly what they want, and who is willing to protect that vision at all costs. In the fast-paced world we live in, patience is often seen as a lost art. We are constantly urged to act quickly, to respond instantly, to make fast decisions, and to never show any sign of hesitation. But patience is a power, a deep-grounded power that allows you to control the flow of your emotions, make decisions with intention, and let go of the fear of missing out. When he reaches out, this is one of the most critical moments to practice patience. It is in that moment of pause that your strength lies. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean ignoring the situation or putting off your emotions. It means resisting the urge to react impulsively. It means giving yourself space to breathe, to reflect, and to respond from a place of understanding rather than from a place of pressure or external expectation. In that moment, when someone from your past reaches out, you may feel the urge to immediately respond, to give an answer, or to make a decision. But this moment, this very pause, is where the magic happens. It's in this space that you create room for clarity, for deep thought, and for wise action. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the deliberate choice to act with purpose. The first thing you need to understand about patience is that it is a form of self-respect. It is the practice of honoring your own process and giving yourself permission to wait for the answers you need. Too often, we feel pressure to respond quickly, especially when someone reaches out, because we fear the consequences of not reacting immediately. But that rush to respond often leads to decisions that are reactionary, driven by emotions rather than insight. When you practice patience, you're giving yourself permission to slow down, to examine your feelings, and to understand what's truly at stake. This is not a weakness. It is an act of strength. When he reaches out, ask yourself, what do I really need in this moment? Instead of jumping straight into action, take a breath. Let the moment settle and give yourself time to evaluate what you're feeling. Emotions are often fleeting, and the intensity of what you feel in the moment may cloud your judgment. That's why patience is so crucial. It allows you to separate the initial emotional response from the deeper truth that lies beneath. It gives you time to see the situation for what it truly is, without being swayed by the rush of past emotions or the pull of nostalgia. The power of patience is particularly evident when it comes to setting boundaries. Sometimes, when someone reaches out, we feel an immediate need to please or accommodate them, especially if they are someone we have shared history with. However, this is often a trap, a way to put others' needs before our own. But patience teaches us to trust ourselves, to know that we don't need to act hastily or make decisions out of fear of conflict. Patience allows us to honor our boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable. It gives us the strength to say, I need time to think about this, or I need space to decide what's best for me. It helps us resist the temptation to settle for less than we deserve just because we fear disappointing someone. Patience is also key to understanding that time reveals truth. When someone reaches out, you may feel an immediate flood of emotions: hope, fear, excitement, resentment. But the truth is, time has a way of clarifying things. The urgency to respond fades, and the layers of your emotions start to fall away, revealing what you truly want. Sometimes the clarity you need comes only after you've given yourself time to sit with the situation. You start to see the bigger picture, the patterns, the past behavior, the lessons learned. You start to ask deeper questions. Why am I feeling this way? What have I learned from this person in this situation? Is this an opportunity for growth, or am I falling into an old cycle? When you allow time to pass and give yourself patience, you give yourself the opportunity to make decisions based on wisdom, not on impulse or fear. Often, our initial reactions are driven by old wounds or unmet needs. We act out of a desire to feel seen, loved, or validated. But the longer you wait, the more clearly you can see whether your reaction is coming from a place of self-respect or from a place of emotional neediness. Patience helps you shift your perspective, and in doing so, you create space for healthier, more empowered decisions. Another important aspect of embracing patience is understanding that you don't need to rush towards closure. When someone from your past reaches out, it might trigger a deep longing for resolution or for closure. You might feel that you need to tie up all the loose ends, that you need to answer all the questions or explain everything in order to move on. But closure doesn't happen just because you have a conversation or make a decision. Closure is something you give yourself, not something that comes from external sources. Patience allows you to give yourself the time and space to heal without forcing any final answers or rushed resolutions. It allows you to let go of the need to control the outcome and to trust that, in time, you will have the clarity you need to move forward. Patience also empowers you to trust the process of healing. It's easy to think that the past should be neatly packed away, but healing doesn't always follow a straight line. Sometimes we need to revisit old wounds to truly heal, and in doing so, we experience moments of vulnerability and doubt. This is where patience becomes your ally. Healing is not a rush, it's a journey. By being patient with yourself, you allow for the organic unfolding of your healing process. You give yourself permission to feel whatever comes up without judgment, and you allow yourself the space to process emotions without needing to fix everything at once. In a world where instant gratification is often prioritized, patience is a radical act of self-love and emotional intelligence. Patience teaches you that you don't need to force or rush things to make them happen. The right decisions, the right relationships, and the right paths will reveal themselves when the time is right. When he reaches out, remember that there is no rush. Take the time you need to process your feelings, assess the situation, and make a decision that aligns with your true desires. Trust that the power of patience will not only protect your peace, but it will also lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your worth. In a world full of external noise, opinions, and distractions, your inner voice is your most reliable guide. It is that quiet, unwavering sense of knowing that resides deep within you. It's the voice that speaks when you stop, listen, and tune out the external forces that try to sway you. When he reaches out, this is the moment when you must trust your inner voice more than any outside influence. Whether it's telling you to move forward or to stay away, it holds the wisdom that can guide you through any uncertainty. The first step in trusting your inner voice is developing the ability to listen. In our busy lives, it's easy to dismiss or ignore the subtle nudges of our intuition. We are taught to prioritize logic, advice from others, or even societal expectations over our own instincts. Yet your inner voice has been with you all along, waiting patiently for you to acknowledge it. This voice is not driven by fear, judgment, or ego. It is grounded in wisdom, authenticity, and alignment with your truest self. When he reaches out, your inner voice can give you the clarity you need to make a decision that aligns with who you truly are and what you deserve. Listening to your inner voice requires quieting the external noise. It means tuning out the advice of well-meaning friends and family, the judgments of society, and even the self-doubt that creeps in. The moment someone from your past reconnects, it's natural to feel conflicted. Emotions from the past may resurface, or you may feel pressure to react in a certain way. This is when the voice of your intuition can get drowned out. To reconnect with it, you must first give yourself permission to step back and create space. Whether through meditation, quiet reflection, journaling, or simply taking a moment to breathe deeply, you must give yourself the time and space to hear what your intuition is truly telling you. Your inner voice is not just about feelings or emotions. It's about alignment with your values and your long-term vision. It connects you to your highest potential, and it always speaks in a way that serves your best interest. When you listen to it, you begin to make decisions that are not just emotionally reactive, but aligned with your greater purpose. It's about recognizing that there is a bigger picture at play. And your choices today impact your future self. When he reaches out, your inner voice is there to remind you of your worth, your boundaries, and the life you are building. It tells you to consider whether reconnecting aligns with the person you are becoming or if it's a distraction from the future you deserve. Too often we ignore or dismiss our intuition because we fear being judged or we worry that our feelings are wrong or unreasonable. But your inner voice is not there to make you comfortable. It's there to guide you to truth. Sometimes the truth is hard to face. It might tell you that reconnecting isn't in your best interest. It might tell you that the past is best left behind, or that the relationship is not aligned with your current values. While these truths can be difficult to hear, they are the ones that will lead you to peace, healing, and growth. Your inner voice doesn't have an agenda. It only wants what's best for you. Trusting your inner voice also means trusting your feelings. Emotions are often dismissed as irrational or irrelevant when it comes to decision making. But your emotions are signals. They give you important information about what is going on inside you and how you are reacting to the world around you. When he reaches out, take the time to check in with yourself. How do you feel? Are you excited, hopeful, anxious, or uncertain? Pay attention to these emotions, but don't let them dictate your actions immediately. Instead, use them as a tool to understand what's really going on beneath the surface. Sometimes anxiety or fear might stem from old wounds that need healing, while other times excitement might reflect a desire for growth or reconnection. Your inner voice is capable of guiding you through this emotional landscape, helping you navigate your feelings with discernment. Another important aspect of trusting your inner voice is recognizing patterns and trusting your past experiences. Your intuition is built from the sum of everything you've learned throughout your life. It knows the lessons you've learned from previous relationships, your patterns of behavior, and your emotional triggers. Your inner voice is not just a whisper of what you want, but a deeply informed guide based on everything you've lived and learned. When he reaches out, your inner voice will remind you of the lessons you've already learned from this person and this relationship. It may tell you that nothing has truly changed, or it may guide you toward a healthier way of approaching the situation. Trusting your inner voice means recognizing that your past experiences have equipped you with everything you need to make the right decision. The more you practice trusting your intuition, the stronger your connection with it becomes. It's like a muscle that you strengthen over time. Each time you listen to that quiet voice and follow its guidance, you build trust with yourself. You begin to recognize that your inner voice is reliable and consistent. It doesn't lead you astray. It doesn't cause confusion or indecision. When you trust it, you develop a deep sense of self-confidence and trust in your ability to navigate any situation. This inner trust becomes your foundation. It gives you the courage to stand firm in your decisions and to make choices that are aligned with your highest good. One of the most powerful aspects of your inner voice is that it is always available to you. No matter what external circumstances are at play, your intuition is a constant source of guidance. It doesn't need validation from anyone else, nor does it require you to seek approval from others. When he reaches out, you don't need to wait for someone else's opinion or judgment to make your decision. You don't need to ask for permission to trust yourself. Your inner voice is your own compass, and it will never steer you wrong if you allow it to guide you. To truly trust your inner voice, you must also be willing to trust the timing of your decisions. Often we are quick to rush into decisions or feel the need to respond immediately, but your inner voice will never rush you. It understands that timing is everything. It knows that there is wisdom in waiting, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is allow time to reveal the clarity you need. Your inner voice tells you that you don't need to make a decision out of fear urgency, or guilt. It tells you to trust that the right decision will come to you in the right time. When he reaches out, listen to your inner voice. Trust that it holds the answers you seek. It will guide you with wisdom, clarity, and confidence, helping you make decisions that honor your truth and move you toward the life you are meant to create.